Hi everyone! Today we're going to be doing a somatic yoga practice. If you are not familiar with somatic yoga, it is a different style of practice that is meant to re-educate our muscles from the level of the nervous system. So we all have patterns that we hold in our bodies, particularly if we have particular ways that we use our bodies for our work, ways that we might sleep. So we could get a kink in our neck. We might get, tightness around our shoulders. Things like car accidents, traumatic experiences can all contribute to these patterns that we hold in our bodies that might not be optimal for being pain-free. This is a wonderful practice for helping us to address chronic pain that we might be holding in our bodies. So for example, a muscle might get locked into tension and it forgets how to relax. Conversely, a muscle might be in a place where it has forgotten how to engage. And so we have imbalances. One side's really tight, the other side might be really weak. And so this style of yoga really addresses these kinds of things that come up in our bodies. The word soma means to be in our bodies. Sometimes we get really cut off from the level of sensation in our bodies. We get more up in our thinking mind, and the body becomes a place that we maybe want to avoid. It's painful, we store memory, muscle memory in our bodies, so we might disassociate from sensation in our bodies. But in order for this healing process to happen, we need to drop into the level of our bodies. So the cueing that I'll be using during this style of practice is to really feel and sense into what you are noticing in your body as we do these different movement patterns. Now the movements themselves are very gentle. We want to make sure we're moving slowly as if we are underwater, like a plant that's just pulsing gently in the water. So we want the movements to be very fluid. Our bodies are mostly water, so this kind of taps into our fluid nature. We want to move slowly, mindfully. The movements will be repetitive. So we're going to take a movement and we're going to repeat that movement for a minute or so. And we're going to do 4 movements today that I'm going to call the part 1 of our somatic practice. Some of you have been to my somatic workshops where we have 2 hours, so you'll be able to combine this video as part 1, and next time I'm going to film part 2, you can put them together and do a full 2-hour somatic practice if you so desire. However, you can also use these as standalones. Today's practice will do the 4 restore your core movements. And these are the movements that we do at the beginning of every one of my somatic yoga practices. I'll be talking you through. It might be helpful if you pause and watch the movement before doing the movement. And then the next time you practice the video, you'll be familiar with the movements and you won't have to watch as much, and you can just really drop into your body and not be caught up in am I doing this right? I want you to just kind of let go of that feeling of right and wrong and just try to just be in your body. So this is part 1. These 4 movements, restore the core, are meant to address some of these patterns that we hold in our bodies. And right now, as we're all dealing with the time of the pandemic of COVID-19, we're dealing a lot with withdrawal response. So this is what we call in somatic yoga the red light reflex, where we're caved in, our shoulders round, our head might round, we're withdrawing into our core, we're withdrawing into our hearts, and we're kind of sinking downward. Another one of the reflexes that we talk about in somatic yoga is the green light reflex, in which we're more on high alert. So we're kind of sticking our chest out, we're ready to run, we're ready to get away from something. It's kind of a fight, flight situation. The last one is called the trauma reflex. And the trauma reflex is where one side little bit tighter than the other, we have an imbalance. So we're going to address these different reflexes in these 4 movements, restore the core. They'll all be done on the floor. So I have a blanket down over my mat for extra comfort. I highly recommend that. It just gives you a cushion. It's warm if it happens to be cold where you are, a little bit cozier. And these movements help address things like back pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, hip pain. So we'll be getting into all of those things. So before we do these movements, as in every somatic practice, we're going to take about 10 minutes to just be on our backs. So in a moment, I'm going to ask you to come down onto your back, and I'm just going to stay seated so I can guide you and talk you through this. But you'll be on your back. If you wish, you could have a blanket under your head or under your knees, but otherwise pretty much flat on your back. And the reasoning behind this is to help us prepare both our minds and our bodies for the healing work that we're going to do today. So it's almost like creating a blank slate. It also helps us get deeply grounded, deeply calm in our bodies, so that the body is more receptive to this change that we're hoping to affect in the nervous system. So a lot of tension that we hold in our bodies is starting from reaction of the nervous system. Our connective tissue tends to seize up and tighten up when we're dealing with something really stressful. So that might be the case for some of us right now. So I invite you to be patient and just give yourself these 5 to 10 minutes of dropping into the ground and really preparing, laying the groundwork for these restore the core movements. So as you're ready, go ahead and please come onto your backs. Take some time to make sure that you are comfortable. Support your head, support your knees if you have any strain in your lower back. And then get settled. Make any last adjustments to your clothing so that you can feel you can be still. So once you have made those adjustments, commit to stillness. Letting your back body rest onto the ground. We're going to systematically bring awareness to different areas of the body, starting with the feet. So go ahead and feel and notice your feet on the ground. Let your heels get heavy. Feel a softness and a receptivity in your feet, in the soles of your feet. And without looking, can you sense perhaps if one foot turns out more than the other? One leg turns out more than the other? Does one heel feel heavier than the other heel? Do you have more awareness of one foot versus the other foot? So feel and sense and notice your feet. Even notice your toes and the spaces between your toes. Feel and sense the backs of your legs. Is there a sense that one leg is longer than the other or heavier than the other? Is there more awareness on one side versus the other? Piece by piece, register sensation in your legs. Feeling and noticing the backs of your knees. Traveling up toward the back of your pelvis. Feeling the area of your sacrum, your SI joint. Is there sensation there that you're aware of? Does one side feel heavier than the other? and sense and soften into the area of your sacrum and your lower back. Traveling up a little higher, feeling the back of your rib cage soften into the ground, melt into the ground. Is one side a little heavier than the other side? Is there more presence, more energy, more vibration on one side versus the other? No right or wrong, just be aware of what you feel, what you sense in your body. If the mind starts to get a little active, just keep guiding it back to your body. Noticing now the shoulders, the shoulder blades, the shoulder heads. Without looking, can you feel and sense if one shoulder is more grounded than the other shoulder? Feeling the length of your arms rest into the ground. As if your back body were making a subtle impression into the earth. And the earth contour your body. Feel a receptivity in your palms and a sensitivity in your fingertips. As if you could breathe in and out through your palms. Very curious about sensations in your hands. Feeling now up into the back of your neck. Are there sensations there in the back of your neck? Does one side feel tighter than the other side? Notice any sensations in the back of your skull and the occipital ridge. Sensations in the back of the head. Let the head be heavier and heavier to the ground. Feeling and sensing your whole back body. And then feeling and sensing the whole front of your body. And then feeling and sensing your whole body at one time. As presence, as energy, as vibration. Get a sense of the water content in your body, kind of resting downward toward the back body. I like to imagine my body as a puddle of water that when there's a drop of water that lands on the ground, it just disperses. So imagine your body like water dispersing. Noticing that the contours of your body feel less defined. Feel the fluid nature of your body. Take a few more moments here and just noticing the effects of being present with your soma, with your body for just a few moments. This is the beginning of how somatic yoga can help us manage pain and suffering in our bodies. By first getting acquainted, taking time to notice. So in a moment, we're going to start to come out of this brief introductory exercise and begin our first movement in the Restore the Core series. So take your time now to come back, kind of reground yourself, reorient yourself to the space around you. Maybe a little wiggle into fingers, into toes. And then once you're ready, we're going to go ahead and bend your knees and set your feet flat on the floor. Now, if you're in a position that you might be able to look and see what we're doing, you might want to pause, get up, take a look. Eventually, I'd love for you to not have to get up and move and disturb the work we just did. But if you need to this first time, please feel free to watch. So this is the first movement in our Restore the Core series. We're going to come onto our backs, and you're going to think of this, it feels like a little bit like cat-cow on your back. Somatic yoga has a lot of arching and curling in the body. So we're going to do some arching and curling with our breath. This is just to help bring some movement into the spine. We're going to be alternating contracting into the back body and then contracting into the front body. Although it looks like kind of a sit-up thing, I want you to not think of it that way. And this is not about how many repetitions we can do, but how present can you be for a sensation as you're doing the movements, and how slowly, mindfully, and fluidly we can do this movement. So I'm going to come onto the back, and we're going to interlace our hands behind the back of our head. Now, first couple of moments, just press your arms down into the floor. So with your hands behind the back of your head, press and just feel how certain muscles are engaging when you press down, and then relax. Try that again a few times. Press down into your arms. You might even notice sensation in your lower back as you press into your arms, and then let it go. Feel your back relax as you let the arms go. Now, adding on, press the arms down into the floor. At the same time, pull your feet towards you. Feel a little contraction now in the backs of your legs. Maybe your low back lifts a little bit. And now, relax and soften. Do that one more time. Press the arms down, pull your feet towards you. Feel that little contraction in your back body. And then relax and soften. Now we're going to make this a little bit more of all of that. On your inhale, you're going to press your arms down, pull your feet towards you, and now intentionally arch your back. So tip your tailbone forward, your chest is going to lift, and you're pulling your feet towards you, contracting, and then as you exhale, we're going to curl up. So you're going to lift your head and shoulders, elbows in, and I'm tipping my tailbone upward as I curl. Now I'm contracting into the front body. We're going to melt back down. Inhale, press down, arch, pull the feet towards you. You're contracting into your back. And then exhale, curl up. Tailbone and head draw towards each other. Pull the navel back. And then repeat. Now on your own, we're going to keep going. If it's comfortable for you, please close your eyes and really get an inner focus here. Notice the muscles that are contracting. Notice any muscles that might be stretching. And move fluidly like that underwater plant. Now you might notice as you do these movements, little things coming up. We might have a little yawn, a little releasing. Sometimes people notice a little tearing. You might have some stored emotion in our body that we are tapping into. There might be trembling. Perhaps muscles that have really become fatigued from being contracted all the time. It takes up a lot of our energy when we're contracting a muscle for hours, days, months. Let's do a few more just like this. Moving slowly, feeling and registering and noticing sensation. as you exhale. They won't meet, but just working in that direction. Good. Now after that third one, we're going to release completely. And with all of these somatic movements, when you do a drop-in between the different movements. So let the legs extend out, let your arms come to your side, and really let your body drop into the earth, bones heavy. And then tune into any micro pulsations in your body. Can you sense some subtle energy moving? Take a few moments here. Feel that sense of dispersing once again. Right. We're going to bend the knees again and slowly roll over to our side. And we're going to be coming on to the abdomen for the next series of poses. So for this one, we're going to be flat on the stomach, and we're going to start by stacking the hands up with your right palm on top. Your head's going to turn toward the right. And we're going to work with some movement of the elbow, the arm, and the shoulder. Eventually, we're going to work with adding the opposite leg. So there is a chain of connective tissue in our back that makes an X from shoulder to hip. And we're working on that connection as we do these particular movements. It can be helpful for things like lower back pain, back of the hip pain, SI joint pain. So we'll be addressing some of those in this next grouping. So come down and get flat on your stomach. Actually, I'm going to go the other direction so that I can be facing the camera here. So right palm comes on top, turning your head to the right. And now just settle into this new orientation here on your belly. Just drop in for a moment. Take a nice full cycle of breath. Now first few movements, we're going to build this. So sometimes it gets complicated. There's a lot to think about in these movements. So I'm going to build them gradually so you get used to things. If you ever get to the point where something becomes too much and you're just too caught up in your mind, stay with the simplest version of the movement. Otherwise, feel free to build on as we move forward. All right. So this first part, we're simply going to lift the arm. And as I lift my arm, I might notice what sensations I feel in my shoulder, maybe in my neck, and then I'm going to release all the way. And then repeating, lifting that arm up as high as you comfortably can, and release. Now, if there's any pain, I want you to just go less with the movement. So you might just lift a little bit. Those of you who can, lift it to your range of motion, and relax. Now, next round, we're going to lift the head. So the head and the arms stay connected. My head is on my hand. I'm lifting up with a slight twist toward the right. And then release. When you release, do so all the way. So lift up. Now notice sensations in your opposite hip and low back area. And then melt back down. Lift up, turn slightly. Notice where you're feeling that muscle contraction, and release. Let's do a few more just like that. Let the legs stay heavy, and if possible, keep your glutes relaxed. You're going to want to engage, but we're trying to just isolate here into the arm and the back. Now this might be challenging for some of us if we've been holding different patterns in our bodies. during this shelter-in-place time that we've been dealing with. So feel free to take a break if you need to, if there's any pain. Now, in a moment, we're going to start to add in a movement of your left leg. What's important here is that that leg stays neutral, okay? So just like when we're doing a back bend, we don't want the legs to rotate or we're going to get a little bit more compression in our low back. Same idea here. So from here, we're going to lift the arm and then the left leg at the same time, slight twist, and release. And continue without turning or twisting the leg. Reach it back as you lift it up, so we're still lengthening. And we're going to continue. Lift up, slight twist. Release. And I'd like you to continue, but see if you can keep your right glute relaxed. So you're using your left leg, the right's going to want to engage. I want you to see if you can stay more relaxed on the right side and isolate into the left side. Try a few more. Now, breath pattern here doesn't matter quite so much as our regular hatha practice, but maybe inhale, coming up, exhale down, or the opposite, whatever feels natural for you, but just do make sure that you are breathing. Okay, let's do about 3 more rounds just like that. So make sure our video is still going. You want to try a little variation here. As you lift your right arm, elbow and shoulder, draw towards your foot a little bit more, which is going to give us a bit more contraction into that right side body. Good. Now we're going to start a little more variation. We're going to bend the left knee. The foot faces the ceiling. We're going to repeat the same movement, but now with the leg bent. Relax all the way down. And then again. Lift up. This gets a little bit more into the hamstring area, which can be a contributing factor to back pain. These repetitions give a sense of safety and calm to our nervous system. There's no surprises. The body is like, yeah, I know this now. I recognize this. It's safe. And the nervous system can start to down-regulate. Let's do 2 more like this. And now we're going to let that go. Rest down and pause. Melt into your mat. Just take a moment there. We're going to stay where you are before we switch to the other side. I'm going to change my orientation so I can continue to look at the camera, but I don't want you to move other than to now stack your left palm on top. Now with left palm on top, turn your head to face the left. Now as you inhale, we're going to just start by lifting that elbow again. So elbow lifts. Notice the sensations in the arm, the shoulder, the neck. Try a few more. that between repetitions, I'd like you to relax as much as you can before you start the next movement. And now we're going to add on, the head is going to start to lift. So the opposite arm stays grounded, lift up, slight twist, and release. I could even press down a little bit into that bottom arm, slight twist, and release. For now, as much as possible, the legs are relaxed. But I'm starting to feel the sensation here on the right side of my hip. Now that might be different for you. Everyone feels things a little differently. So where you feel it's going to depend on patterns in your own body. But typically, that's where we might be noticing it. Keep breathing. What are you feeling? What are you noticing in your body right now? One more just like this. We're going to start adding in that opposite leg. So when you're ready, the right leg stays neutral, reaching it back and then lifting it up. You want to think as if we're lifting from the heel and the inner thigh. Slight twist as we come up. Full release of musculature as we come down. To add in the hamstring work, so we're going to bend the right knee, lifting through the heel, and then release all the way. I'm starting to feel this up and through my neck a bit, so notice if that is present for you. Fluid, slow motion. This is not about how many repetitions we can do, but the quality of the movement. Now we add a slight variation. Lift up and a slight turn toward that bottom foot, towards your left foot. This changes the vector a little bit, changes the sensation a little bit. Let's do two more just like that on your own. And then after that second one, bring your head neutral and just pause. Let everything go. Drop into the ground. Slide our hands back and press up and come onto our side. So I am on my right side. I'm going to stack my knees up in line with my hips. My head is going to rest down on my bottom arm. Now, if that's not comfortable, you might pull in a pillow or a blanket to support you here. And then the top arm is going to hold the side of the head. So this is the movement 3 of Restore the Core. Again, we're going to start simply and build. So from here, simply lift your head and your arm and a little bit of a side crunch. Now I want you to take this top hip and roll it toward your elbow to increase that sensation. And then soften all the way down. Now repeat that. Lift up, roll the hip toward your shoulder. Register the sensation. And then relax. Repeat. Bit of a side crunch. This helps to repattern where we might be holding tension in here in the low back and the hip. I'm going to add on in a moment. Let's do another like this. The opposite arm stays heavy, maybe even presses slightly downward. Now adding on a movement of the top foot. So we're going to be lifting the shin and the foot up. You'll see that my knees stay connected. So I'm not lifting the knee, they stay connected. And we're going to do that at the same time as the first part. Okay? So from here, make sure that your body is not pitching forward or back. We're on a straight line. Okay, so let's lift up. The foot is going to lift at the same time, and then release. And repeat on your own. Now, if it's comfortable for you, remember, close the eyes. Taking us on a deeper inner journey. We can really pay attention to the body and what we're feeling. Notice what you're feeling, perhaps even in your neck. Change it up in a moment, slightly different vector again. So now we're going to continue the same movement but angle slightly toward the back. And then just pay attention to how that changes the sensation that you're noticing in your body. I get it a little bit more up into here, into the side body. You might be different. Angling to the back. Keep everything else relaxed, particularly your face and your jaw. Try not to accumulate any unnecessary tension. Change it up again in a moment. So now I'm going to extend my leg forward as I roll open. And then come back to start. Lift up, side crunch, extend, roll open. For me, this feels really yummy. Nice little change, nice little variation. Let's do 2 more like this. moment to drop in before side 2. So go ahead and roll over onto your back. So we can just let go for a moment of that particular work. Soften. Notice how you feel from the left side toward the right side. So right now, I'm feeling more grounded on my left side body. I feel more sensation. I feel more energy flowing through this left side. My right side just feels a little bit asleep. So we're gonna change it up and try the other side in a moment. Take another breath or two here. So now stay as relaxed as you can. You could maybe roll right to your other side. I'm gonna flip so that I can stay facing the camera. So we'll start again, nice and simple. Remember, a blanket might be helpful under your head. Stack the knees in line with your hips. Top arm holds the temple, cheek area of the bottom side. And then we're going to lift up. Roll the hip towards your elbow. And then release. And repeat. Try not to pitch forward or back at this point. Closing your eyes. Sensing. Feeling, noticing. In the leg movement, remember the knees stay connected. We're going to lift the shin and the foot, roll the hip, and then release. Try that a few more times. Lift up, curl in, side bend, let it go. Continue a few more times. Now angling slightly toward the back, registering a slightly different sensation in the body. These repetitive movements help work with the connective tissue in the body, our fascia, which tends to tighten up when we're experiencing stress and trauma. It's like an inner contraction. So this work is helping to release that inner contraction, allowing us to release tension from the inside out. Do 2 more, lifting up, angling slightly to the back, release, and 1 more. Now slowly let all of this go. We're going to once again roll onto your back. Once you get onto your back, legs out, arms at your side, take a moment to really drop into the ground and release it all. the dispersing of the inner body toward the outer body, that outer body toward the space around you. Melting and merging into pure awareness. Alright, we've got one more movement in our Restore the Core series. So finishing up very similarly to how we started, the knees are going to bend. We're going to take the hands behind the back of the head again. Now, very similar to what we did before, so I'm going to go toward my left side so that you can see me. I'm going to press down into my left elbow, look over my left elbow, and arch my back. So I'm going to tip my pelvis forward, press down into my arms, feel the contracting muscles. Now, opposite elbow to knee, so left elbow to right knee, curl up, and then release. Inhale, come down, turn, arch. So my back is lifting away from the floor. Maybe I should remove my sweater just in case you can't quite see that. All right, so coming down, turn, look, lift and arch the back, and then we round to come up, elbow toward the knee. It might touch, it might not. Inhale on the arching, exhale, coming up. Now that you have that movement, you're going to close your eyes if you're comfortable. And if eyes aren't comfortable being closed, you can just keep them soft. So I really want you to just go inside, feeling what you feel. Especially in this time, we want to avoid our feelings. And so we distract ourselves or we numb out. So some of us, you're maybe using food or television or social media. I know it's hard. But keeping the body healthy, we need to stay in the body, not dissociate from it. Remember to look over that left shoulder, arch the back, feel the contraction, and then as you curl up, there's more of a contraction in the front body. So we're alternating. Contract the back, contract, look over your shoulder, come up, curl in. Let's do two more on this side. Being fully present for every sensation, every nuance. Now, let's just pause before we do the other side. If you want, you can keep your legs bent. I like to just do that full drop in and just feel and notice. Disperse. Rebend the knees, hands behind the back of your head. Turn and look over your right shoulder, arch your back, tip your pelvis so that the back lifts, and then right elbow, left knee. We'll now repeat, inhale, arch, press down, and come up. So you might even do what we did in the beginning and pull the feet towards you to even get some contraction in the backs of the legs, to the hamstrings. Challenge yourself to slow down. Our bodies can become this place that we have trapped speed. Speed gets trapped in our tissue, in our nervous system. And we end up with things like anxiety and agitation and insomnia, and really active
mind that ruminates. So this kind of practice can help us get out of that trapped speed. But we've got to slow down. We've got to be with our breath, be with our bodies, be with sensation. Two more here. All right, now we're going to let it all go. Come back to that dropping into the ground, bones heavy, body light. Notice again those micro pulsations of the subtle body, movement of energy flow. Feel and sense. We're going to finish with one more movement. Turn the head over the left shoulder and just press the side of the head into the floor and then recoil passively to the center. So as we turn the head and press, notice sensation in your neck. Keep the rest of the body relaxed and come back. And now on your own, let's try that a few more times. Turn, press, with eyes closed if that's comfortable for you. So this one is not one of the Restore the Core, but a little extra one I'm throwing in. Let's do a few more on this side. And then this is the one that you'll always start with if you do the two parts. We'll be filming part 2 in a few days. But for now, you can just do this one. And if you wish for a full 2-hour somatic experience, you'll do part 1 and part 2 together. And it's a really deep, nourishing, grounding practice that can help us cope and help us release trapped tension and pain. Feel more energy flow in our bodies. Pause for a moment. Let's do that same thing on the other side. So turn your head, press, and then release back to center. Now see if you can challenge yourself to let the rest of the body stay relaxed. Keep going. If you are tensing up other parts of your body, just notice that and see if you can challenge yourself to just isolate. No matter what we do, we might feel a little bit of sensation in some of the other muscle groups, but try not to get too involved in other muscles contracting. Keep breathing. Keep with that slow underwater fluid pace. Let's do 2 more in this direction. take just a mini Shavasana, since this could be a practice of itself. So we'll take a few moments before we come up to sit, and then you can continue on to part 2 once that one is filmed. So go ahead, and maybe if you're cold, you could cover up with a blanket. Nice to have an eye covering here. Let your body weight drop. Feel that sense of dispersing once again. Let your body become more and more relaxed. So I'm going to be getting myself up so I can continue to guide you, but I want you to stay there on your back for a few moments. A couple more minutes of rest. Great. So go ahead and continue to stay in that relaxed state, continuing to drop into the ground. Again, starting with your feet, feel that receptive quality. See if you can feel and notice your feet as a field of vibration or energy. Starting to pour your awareness up through your legs, through your knees, to your hips, to your pelvis. Feel and sense the heaviness of the legs, the heaviness of the pelvis. And feel and sense the pelvis as a field of energy. Then continuing, feeling up into the back ribs and into your shoulders, feeling a sense of dissolving into the shoulders, into your back body. Arms are heavy. Pour your awareness down through your arms, through the elbows and wrists, feeling and noticing sensation of your fingers, a receptivity of your fingers. Pouring your awareness up into the heart space, and just feeling and sensing a softening into your heart space. Feel a warmth there. Feel and sense the area of your heart as pure sensation, pure awareness. The unstruck, the anahata. Traveling up through the throat and the neck. A sense of dissolving and softening into the neck, and a releasing of all facial expression. A releasing of your scalp. Back of the head heavy. Back of the head heavy. Back of the head heavier than it's ever been. Feel this sense of dissolving. So the inner body dispersing toward the outer body, and the outer body dispersing toward the space around you. The borders of your body are less defined now, as if you were merging into one with the space around you. This is the place of pure awareness, beyond thought, beyond your body, beyond right or wrong, beyond suffering. Just be in this
are planning to do part 2, if you're doing this on YouTube, you could make yourself a playlist. You could stay on your back and continue on to part 2. If you are finishing your practice with this Restore the Core series today, take your time. You can go ahead and roll to your side when you are ready. No rush. And then when you get to your side, do pause there. We don't want to disturb this sense of calm that we've just created by popping back up. So ease yourself into rejoining life. Pause, take a few breaths on your right side. When you feel ready, you can press into your hands. Lead with the back body. Let your head come up very last. So stay as calm and relaxed as you can. Make your way up into a comfortable seat as you are ready. So you might wish to have a blanket to sit on. It'll just be there for a moment. Once you arrive, go ahead and bring your hands together in front of the heart space. Feel the palms touching each other right in the center of your heart. Close your eyes, taking a few breath cycles here. If you're on your back, you can just continue to rest. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, bow your head towards your heart and your hands. I honor you for taking this time for yourself, for your practice. Thank you for joining me